Hello everyone, my name's Tim. I am the Silver Coder, and in today's video we are going to look at email addresses again and the validation thereof, and how this came about. Well, I had been given a spreadsheet, or had a spreadsheet of names of email addresses and other information, and they didn't know whether the email addresses were good or not, whether the domain existed, whether they're correctly formatted, and so on. And if we go back to the last video, I mentioned that people could put whatever they liked into an email address field. But in this particular case here, the main issue were that some email addresses were incorrectly formatted. Some would have a valid domain but an invalid mailbox, and then there were some where the domain just didn't exist. And when it comes to validating an email address, what are we actually trying to say? Do we just want to make sure it has the correct format, or would we rather know that the email address is actually usable or not? So if we were to use a regex expression, then we have to know whether or not does it correctly handle all email address formats, and because if it doesn't, then is it any good? The next thing you can look at also is whether or not a user on a mail server can be validated or not, and you could also try sending an email to the user. That's the third possibility. So they're all the questions we're left with when we want to look at validating a email address. So let's go down a bit further into this unit and let's have a look at some code. But before we go there, I'm going to show you a list of what is said to be valid email addresses, and if you want, I'll put the link into the description below, because they are supposedly valid and these ones here are invalid. So to give you an example of an email address, then if you've got it, it shouldn't be ending with a dot, and it shouldn't have a double dot in there as well. So let's run the program. I haven't got that declared anywhere, so let's go to there, take that back. Var re. Okay, there we go, nearly there. Okay, now let's run it again. Okay, so here's our form, and let's just put in an email address at gmail.com and hit the begin the button, and we wait, and it says yep, it's okay. So now let's put an email address in that ends in a dot, which is now invalid, and it still says it's okay. So and I can tell you also that if you've got an email address with a double dot, this one will still say, hey, it's okay to use. And by the way, we're just doing here that we're calling this function here, and if this function here returns true, then we'll get okay, else not okay. Now the next bit, I guess, that you want to consider or think about is, this is supposedly a Perl module. Well, actually, let's go for regex for email. I think it may have been that one I looked at. but nope. According to let's just say this page here, we have to make the assumption that this is quote unquote good enough, and I'm not going to try it in my program here because all that will do is check the format but won't doesn't handle the scenarios where the domain doesn't exist. And in fact, if we go over here to Microsoft, now somewhere up here it says do not use the thing as the only way. Do send the test email, and so on. So a regex, may not be the best way to validate, and I will, and just like I said, I will put all of the links that were up here into the description below. So we have a problem here with then using regex by itself. So now what we're going to do is to remove this bit of, or comment out this bit of code here. And we're now going to use another function which will basically do two parts of sending an email. Now there is a function which can be used. I'm just trying to find it here. Let's go to here to verify. Let's just look for verify, vrfy. There is I know a over here. That's why. There is actually a function that you can use to verify a username. The problem here, though, is that someone like Google won't doesn't support that particular message, and let's say for my address, it will just say that it's invalid. Even so, and when lots of people are using Gmail, well, that's not, let's say, the best way of doing it. So what we've got here now, if we go to the form, I've got a DNS resolver and a SMTP component. We're using a DNS server. This just happened. Well, we'll change it. We'll change this back to see if what this would be the Google one. The other one was Telstra, basically. So let's this code here was, other than me specifying the host there, is a cut and paste from a Stack Exchange reply to somebody, and so I haven't done anything, I haven't modified it. So now we can run this code here and see what it does. Took a little while, but it actually said that one's okay. So, well, now let's put a double dot in there. And I don't know why it's stopping there, but anyways, let's go to there. I think now we've got an put a double dot. No one says it's not okay. So on those two little test cases, we have something which is now working better than it was previously. We'll just make that some other random characters in there, and this one comes back a lot quicker because it can't resolve. So now we've actually have a means of validating a user. And one thing I do need to mention here is that the components I'm using in this program are from Indie. So if you want to use this program or just copy the code or whatever, then you will need to have those components installed onto your or into your Lazarus environment. So that just about ends this video because we've got a function which can do a reasonable job of validating an email address. In fact, yeah, it works. So if you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. You could also hit that notification bell to get notified when I bring out new content. So till next time, happy coding, and I will see you later. Bye.